Godspeed to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun as she puts a hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning is the afternoon. We lay awake in bed. The laughs so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be, we're gonna be two hearts running wild.
Hello, hello, and good afternoon, everyone. Awesome to see you all. Hello, hello, Susan and Sarah we have with us today, and maybe some more in hiding. Awesome. It's Monday afternoon. I feel I had a long weekend, even though it wasn't that long, but somehow my body is telling me I'm tired right now. So if I do have a few yawns during this live, I just excuse me already, because, well, I guess it's Monday, and that is the new week. Good morning, Megan. Well, the weekend I went to Germany. I did not crochet as much as I expected to do because we ended up changing our arrival plans Saturday. So when we were driving in the dark, and we were just chilling Saturday evening at the hotel room, basically chatting, watching some German television. And I have to say, watching German television it's all synchronized into German, um, which generally goes well because my German is okay, but it's different. And it was this like sort of quiz program, and I was quite surprised it ran the whole evening. Like that wouldn't happen in the Netherlands at all. I think the Dutch spectators or TV watchers would be done within like an hour and a half, maybe at best 2 hours. That would be long. So I was rather surprised about that. We did get hot chocolate and a coffee at the bar in the hotel, and that was compared to what was paid for it. The chocolate was okay, but I understood from my partner that his cappuccino was pretty miserable compared to the fact that what he paid for it. It's what it is. It's an experience. We were just shortly doing a chill, and Sunday went okay. Personally, I didn't perform that well, but I performed well enough to win both my matches. And the team also performed well enough to do really, really well. So the team also were pretty solid. That said, we are probably competing against lower leagues compared to what we quality-wise, team-wise, would be at. And would we have been a league higher? I'm not so sure if I would have won my matches given my performance. Is what it is. It was a nice weekend. We had a great time, nice people, nice hanging out. The home way, though, was not so fun. We ran into a queue not far from Dortmund, and it was standing still. And in Germany, you make Rettungsgasse. So that's a nice German word that basically means that when you have a highway that has more than 2 lanes, um, and it comes to a standstill, all of the cars are going to make this extra road of emergency. So the cars will drive to the side, to the very edge of their lane, so to say. So there's room for emergency cars such as ambulances, police, etc. Or it could be the fire department. I think we were standing still for maybe max 15 minutes, and then both ambulance and police came driving by. So there had been an accident. Not sure how many cars was involved, etc. But yeah, we were definitely going to be standing still there for a bit. And we got like some sort of emergency exit set up, so we could kind of clear the highway. So that cost us like probably 45 minutes. Um, we picked up some takeaway before we got home, had dinner, crashed for the rest of the evening, and I did actually crochet a bit on floor. So that was kind of my weekend. And I believe, meanwhile, that all of our American friends are back to the normal time zone difference that we usually have. Because I do believe you guys had time zone change this weekend, but I'm not 100% sure. If that is the case, then there should again be 6 hours between me and Eastern time. Here it is 2 p.m., so 2:12 p.m. Central European time, so it's 2 in the afternoon, which should make it theoretically 8:12 in New York, at least, if my math is good. But I hope you all had a great weekend as well. Mine were, as you can hear, a sort of interesting. But I would definitely say last week one was more drama filled than this one. This is where we are at. We did finish a row last time, and which was Friday. I haven't touched this one since Friday. This is where we are at. Ta-ta! This would be the best actually view we get of the color on this camera, I think. As you can see, this is definitely sizing down. I have the feeling, I don't think we are quite yet, but we are about halfway. Um, I think we can do more repeats than the pattern says, because we are like on the 3rd repeat somewhere. And I have the feeling we can probably do an extra. And it's not that big yet, though. Of course, this particular pattern, it will stretch when it gets blocked. It will stretch a fair bit. The LapsangTea Shawl, and we've only been working on this during the lives, with very few exceptions. I might have finished a row here and there, like if we got halfway through a row, but generally it's mainly been working on during the lives, because as you guys know, I'm trying to finish up Fleur. And I did have a color change on Fleur. Kapateching, which means I haven't also found the sound yet, because we were discussing I should find some sort of a happy sound for when we had color changes. Haven't found that one yet. I do apologize. I just had a bunch of things to do, which I got some volunteering work finished up Sunday evening as well. After we got home and have had dinner. But that means that I just didn't have enough time for everything that I wanted to do. It's how it often goes. So that said, I have then been considering if I should bring the remaining of my velvet skein with me to Denmark. It's an easy project to crochet scrunchies there. That could be that I'll end up doing that. Okay, so I'm going to see, where did we end? It was something with some front posts and back posts and double crochets. Because of course I didn't write it down. Why would I? I should. We do have another 10 rows to go in this repeat. If I see this correct. I'm just gonna double check, but I do quite have a feeling. Oh no, we have to be further, because this was this row, so we are further. So we have less left, 8 rows. Because this one I've done. And this one is the one I just did. That was the 11th row. So we are about to start row 12 out of 20. And we only repeat row, I do believe it's 5 to 20. So we are like kind of half-ish way through this repeat. Yeah, because I didn't have any. No, I didn't. Perfect. So what does it say down here? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. We are in for a bunch of further double crochets. I am, of course, gonna help you guys to see what I'm doing. Revenant says, my weekend went well, but it was a bit busy. Sunday I went by buyout store that had some yarn on deep discount. I got 5 skeins, but I'm already working on it. It was the red heart all-in-one granny yarn in the purple, blue, and white colorway. Well, that's the thing. Good deals, like it's really difficult not to leave them, right? Like if it's a good deal, why not? I know Susan says we need to shop our stash, and I've been a good girl. I haven't bought yarn yet. And hopefully I can stay off buying yarn until like maybe my birthday discount or something like that. That would be pretty cool if I'll manage that. That's my goal. Okay, so let's pop over to this double screen and then we'll. Ooh, that was not what I wanted to do. Hopefully. Yeah, I'm on a poncho thingy today and blankets and everything because it's cold. It can probably be argued how cold it is, but I think it's cold. We can check just for the funsies what the weather says here in Nijmegen, which is not so far from where I live. It's 10 minutes drive. They were $4.99 per skein. Sounds like a nice deal. 448 yards, 381 meters. Okay, so the weather here where I am right now is mostly cloudy with a temperature of 54 degrees Fahrenheit, so about 12 degrees Celsius, and the wind is blowing from southwest at 15 miles per hour, and the humidity is 81. Yeah, it probably wants to rain, to be honest. Remnant says, I've got 5, we'll make a nice size blanket. Definitely. There is zero doubt in that. You can like also make a granny style blanket, or are you going to use them differently? Like Sarah says, same here. I've been making hooded cows, backlavas, blankets, sweaters, and creating warmth. Yeah, that's what we all. It's the time of the year, I think. In Waco right now, the weather is 49 degrees, so about 49 degrees Fahrenheit, so about 9 degrees Celsius. Wind is from southeast at 4 miles per hour, and the current humidity is 85, and it's sunny. So I think Waco is going to have it a bit warmer than we are today, by the sound of it. I would say that would be pretty realistic. I have the feeling that the light today on my camera is off, so I am gonna see if I can. It's just quickly gonna be lighter until I get the color adjusted. So do hang on for a minute. That was really light. Come on, go back. This was better. Like that, I think that was better. Good. I'm doing the Joanne Yannick's news pattern, the Fefe blankets. He does create a lot of patterns. I'm really amazed for the time Joanne appears to have available, given the fact that he's also working on the side to make all those patterns. 2 double crochets in a skip, 2 stitches, and then we have 6 double crochets. So okay. So we are on the double crochet spree here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll have to skip some stitches again. Back post. Chain 1. Then I believe we are, yeah, these are then another 6. And then is it puff stitch? So is it 3 double crochets together? Just give me a moment. It's every time I like get to this repeat, I just need to quickly read through the pattern again just to make sure that we are on the same page. Oh, sorry about that. It's puff stitches. Ugh. Oh, it's what it is. Puff, my friends. I'm not interested in doing them as grinding squares since they're a bit fiddly to work, but I'm just treating them as variegated yarn. That makes good sense. I think I've heard others saying like you really need to have the same tension all the way through, and it kind of requires you to have the same tension as basically the yarn creator, so to say, to actually make sure that they look really nice. I'm not so sure I personally would have the patience to do a such thing. I think that's my end conclusion on those. The guy has 2 jobs and a full-time caretaker for his stuff and now blind elderly mother. I've no idea how he does everything. That is in addition to the YouTube channel. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? Like, how? I feel I have a lot to do, but reality is probably I don't. Or maybe I just need more sleep than the average person. That could definitely be a thing. I have a very big sleeping heart. Like my goodness, I would definitely enjoy. I need another weekend. Like, and I was actually sort of sleeping out Saturday, um, and yet not really, because I still had to kind of to get out on time. And of course, I went a bit later to bed Friday evening because that allowed me to finish the last episode of the season 4, The Witcher. So I did. Because I kind of like to kind of wrap things up. But had I known that the plans and everything had changed and it was just like one rainy afternoon, I'd probably gone to bed for another hour. So then it's a chain and then some back posts. Okay. Susan says, I was gifted the silver needle tea shawl pattern by hooking and stitching island style. Nice. Do you already have the yarn found that you would like to make it from? Or like, it's always nice to get patterns. I don't think I have the silver needle shawl myself yet. So that would be one of those I would have to invest in once I get there and want to make it, which I'm totally fine doing, of course. But before I get there, I just have a few other patterns from Ines. Ines is the creator behind Red Teapot Atelier that I would like to do first. Like, there's just a few shawls I'd like to make first, which I already have the patterns for. It's just a question of me sitting down and doing stuff, I guess. Two, four, five, 6. So it's like I'd like to, but it has to wait. And of course, once I'm done with Fleur, I do have more time. But we talked a lot. We did talk about me maybe next year when I'm done with Fleur, that I should start working on my heart collector shawl. I do have the pattern laying somewhere. I have yarns. Actually, I have yarns to make 2 of them. I have 2 different plans for them. So it's just a question of also getting started and doing it. Though both of them will require me to do some yarn cutting and yarn winding and stuff like that, because I will want to color control. And then the real question is, do I want to start in the hobby yarns that I have? I have this hobby twister yarns, including some solids. Or do I want to use them in this platter muffin yarns that I also had readily available for the same project? A part of me is also debating, I could also, like, good reason for buying new yarn is to get like a special cake with that in mind. Though that said, since I have the other yarns, that would make more sense to use those, right? Because Susan is happily saying she will love to keep reminding me to shop my stash. And I will definitely also encourage her to keep reminding me doing so. Because reality is, I really should shop my stash. I have plenty stash to shop from. I also wanted to start on, I do have a vest that I want to make for myself. But I will first be able to start on that again. Well, I can start it at any time. But we are still on this part of me saying I want to finish Fleur this year, and therefore my focus is basically on finishing Fleur when I'm not live. And Fleur is really inconvenient to sit here live with, because of the size of the project. It's sheer size. I could maybe do it, but then I'm afraid, due to me also paying attention to you guys and chatting with you guys, which I love, I'm also sort of afraid of making mistakes, and I would really hate to frog back on Fleur. Size-wise, it's like 2 hours complete a row, if not longer. Like, no, please don't let me have to frog that. 2, 4, 5. I need one more. Oh. Yeah, that looks better. The real question is, will we reach to have a color change today? And I personally think we will, but I don't know. We didn't have last time, which wasn't a surprise because we just had one at the very end of Wednesday's stream. I have a few Hirschner's Mill End cakes to choose from. Nice! Oh, good plan and good luck. They're like Hobby's Cotton King Sultan, I believe. Or do they also have them with mixed acrylic cotton blend, like the twisters? Which totally reminds me, I have a ton of yarn for everything. Susan is asking Rav how the FEFE is coming along. And I hope you guys all had some great Fridays, by the way, with the trick and treating for those who had kids coming by. Grown-ups for that matter. I have to say Halloween is not a thing that I'm familiar with as in celebrating it because it just wasn't a thing when I was a child. But it's slowly getting more and more to be a thing. Here in Europe. So let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6. Roman says he just started only on round 3, so basically at the very, very beginning. Meanwhile, I'm also just cracking along here. Had to frag back because I forgot to do my 2 double crochets in the corner of round 2. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet. Let's look at the positive thing, at least if it's like made in the round and it's very few stitches and increases as it goes around, is the fact that, hey, it was only round 2. It wasn't like round 50 to compare. 2, 4, 6. Like, I'd rather make mistakes in the beginning than in the end of a project like this, where it also increases in size for every row you do. As in, the amount of stitches increases, because that really sucks to frog that back when it's too far in. There, 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, it is early in Texas, but it's early many places, I think. Or it's getting late, however you want to look at it. Like, if I look outside, I'm like, it's getting dark and it's only like 2:30, but the reason for that is probably because it's grayish and darkish in general, weather-wise. Because we should have light for another at least 2 hours. Actually, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do also have tea today, which I totally forgot to tell you guys. It's just a classic black tea today, with a flavor of red fruits. Primarily, I do believe it's strawberry. It's from Lipton. So yeah, my favorite mug is here, and I think it might still be warm, but let's try it out. It's still on the edge. It is getting better. Half an hour ago, I was like burning my tongue, which is kind of good in the sense of the mug really keeps my tea warm for long. But if you just made it and kind of want to drink it, it's not too handy dandy. Which reminds me, we have this. We need to save for. I wouldn't say redecorating, but more like updating, renovating our kitchen, and a lot of other things in the house, because just things, as things gets older, eventually they will need to get renovated. And I think once I get a new kitchen, I'd actually like to have a cougar too. I don't know if the cougar or cougar is a thing. Not a cougar as in a cat, but a cougar. Q Qooker, I believe it's spelled. Because that is a nice thing that instantly boils water as you open the water tap. So basically, the idea of having a water boiler is kind of gone because it's an instant water boil. So you open for the water tap and you just have instantly boiling water coming out of it. So you don't anymore need to have a water boiler for boiling your tea water in my case. Yes, I'd like to have that. That is my dream for my new kitchen. Maybe some different placements of cabinets and so on, but the cougar. It's difficult for me to pronounce without making it sound like a cougar. Then that would be really nice addition, I think, to a renovated kitchen. And I'd like floor heating for my old bones. Everything would feel less cold then. Good morning, Lisa. Wonderful to see you, my lady. Hope you had a great weekend. 2, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, blame coffee to be slow to kick in. The thing is, I've kind of like been on my tea all morning or all day, also at work. It's not kicked in here either yet. And my brain generally tells me that I need to sleep. Like, I can tell you if I laid down right now on the couch and I would close my eyes, I would sleep within 2 minutes. And it's 2:30 in the afternoon, right? Like, damn. Is this normal? It's just one of those days where I'm sleepy. And unfortunately, I do have those days. I believe maybe we all do. I just have them sometimes more common than not. Chronic fatigue is a real thing, I can tell you guys. And I gave away one of my green scrunchies Friday as a birthday present. And you know, I came to the club and I saw her, and that same day, or no, the day before, she had been to the hairdresser and donated her hair. So I was like, oh my goodness! But it's still like long enough to put in a ponytail. And she was still really happy to get it because she had actually been looking for something in the right color, which was the green. And so she was still happy with it. So that was actually a really nice feeling to see, even though it's just a tiny thing. She was actually quite happy. So that was a win. 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2, 4, 6. Yep. I finished stitching my silk shawl, but I need to block it this afternoon. The crystals didn't work out though, so the sizing weren't good of the crystals, I guess. I'm sure I can find something else to use the crystals for though. At least I hope that you will have something else. They were too small. Guess it happens. I saw one working with crystals the other day, but for knitting. And I was like, or pearls of some kind. And I thought of you actually, because I hadn't heard yet how it had gone, but I know that it didn't go completely as planned now, which I'm sorry for, because I think the idea was really nice. Not this one. This one. And we skip, skippity skip. Okay, that's good. So, Lisa says she's still very happy with the shawl. So still very happy with how it turned out, regarding that the crystals unfortunately weren't a match. I think I've come to the end conclusion that I'll be donating the hat away, which is definitely a funky size. 2, 4, 6. Just because it kind of makes sense, I guess. I'm not gonna be able to use it for anything personally, but I'm sure there will be somebody who might be happy with it. So, yeah, that's probably what's gonna be happening. 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2, 4, 6. Oh, yay! Thank you. We need a party. We need a party. Yay! Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. So, Diane just got a gift membership from a Revenant. It's kind of shame that Diane isn't around for this live, because I'm sure she would be thrilled. Thank you so much for your support. Revstasia, I managed to finish the first panel of my poncho. The thing is going to be big. I may have overestimated the amount of yarn I'm going to need, but it looks so nice I don't mind. Hoo yay. Ponchos are nice. That's another thing. I have ideas. And ideas usually end up leading me to buying yarn. So I'm trying to kind of limit some of the ideas I have. I should limit the ideas I have. That would be more correct to say. Currently. What's happened here? Oh, or it's because we're at the top. Because something feels funky here. Yes, it's because we're at the top. That's why my numbers doesn't add up. Give me a short moment just to catch up here. So we skip this one and we do the back post in this stitch. Okay, cool. And then we'll chain one, and then in the space up here we'll have 3 just of the double crochets. It means that we're about halfway through this row though. And then I need to count, how many is this? 6. Okay, so in the space up here we'll have 6 double crochets, and then I chain 2 and another 6 double crochets. That will do. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2, 4, 6. Yeah. That gets pointy. 2, 4, 6. Then we'll skip those and do another 3 here. So that will do. Oh, I see now that we have a little yarn thing going on here on top of yarn, kind of popping out. So I'm gonna try to pop it back in. Good. Then I'll have to chain. We'll have to grab this one for the back post. Jump this one and jump over here. I just thought for a minute that I had made a mistake actually, but it was just because we got to the tip here and that just doesn't look like the rest, of course. Yeah, Lisa says, did you overestimate or underestimate? So Ramona said, overestimated. I bought one too many skeins of the current slice of anniversary cake. Well, it's always better to overestimate than underestimate because you can always find something to use your scraps on, right? Where if you underestimate and you then, like me, hope it's going to be fine, then usually it's not. And what you'll end up with is that the dye-dot colors doesn't match anymore. So it's always better to overestimate, like by any means have extra, because we can all figure out some small project to make from scraps, or keep scraps over and you'll end up making what do I know, scrap blanket or something like that if it's from acrylic scraps or something, right? 2, 4, 6. Double stranding, scrap blanket in granny square format or whatever. Plenty of opportunities, or hats or gloves. And as Lisa says, you can make a matching hat, which isn't a bad idea at all. I think that's a solid idea, to be honest. Does remind me I have a few yarns laying around also, waiting to be made into something. But I actually first need to record a regular video for a review of it at some stage. 2, 4, 5. I need one more stitch. But honestly, a lot of things haven't really gone fully according to my own plans this year. I will also admit that. Part of it is, I guess, there is just other things I do, and I guess I'm really good at doing those things. And then time just flies by without me really noticing it before it's too late. But I also kind of want to go to the fitness today. I should go to the fitness today. Two, 4, 6. Big stripes, given this was made with a 9mm hook. Then it's also like a nice chunky, probably warm poncho. I have 2 mecha balls from Hobby in my stash upstairs somewhere. And I am debating if I should make a poncho of it, or if I should attempt one of those classic cardigans, like a hexicardi. Since I have 2 of them, I have enough yarn to buy almost whatever I want, right? So Could even make a blanket if I want to, but honestly, blankets are not exactly completely what I want to do, especially once I finished Fleur. I'm like, once Fleur is done, I'm done with blankets for a long time, I think. Unless it's a like baby blanket, that would be quicker to make, I guess. So I will be quote unquote definitely more okay with that. No, 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 no. I forgot to chain first. Like that was better. I am wait a minute. Do I have changed on the other one? Hmm. Yeah, I would say I have. Oh, that was the yawn I was afraid of would eventually come. I told you guys I would end up yawning. It's a Karen version of Craig is super bulky, weight 6, incredibly soft, but wants to split a lot, so it's not very tight. So it's not very tightly bound. Yeah, that's a thing. I don't think anyone is happy to work with splitting yarn. And I kind of rather want to work with multiple strands than not so tightly wound yarn that wants to split on you. Because mostly these multiple strands doesn't split on me. That, as I said, mostly. 1, 2, and 3. That was a puff, long done and gone. 2, 3, 4. The 6th here. Yep, there's 6. Just discussing the yarn weight here of the current anniversary crakes. But it is, you both agreed splitty, so there is something, I guess. Not that that kind of helps a lot. So then we'll skip that one to go and grab that one. For the US peeps, there's the Premier Weeks. It will be on good deals, temps, and people. Oh, we should all shop our stash, right? We should all shop our stash. Once I'm done with Fleur, I will jump into my stash. Two, 4, 6. I feel like going through my stash and have a good look at it and get inspired. But it has to wait, because if I get started on something, then my attention won't be on Fleur. 2, 4, 6. I made a blanket with a anniversary crate that was gifted most. Used the must stitch because it's splitty. A small blanket that only measured 40 by 50 inches. Rowan says he's just doing back and forth double crochets as long as you pay attention. It usually behaves. Yeah. And then Susan says, cannot see spending over $80 to make a large size blanket with 2 anniversary cakes as peasants just. It's still quite crazy, like that the yarn is so pricey. I actually also feel, though I'm not sure if it's actually the case, but I sometimes have the feeling that we have some really good priced yarns in Europe compared to the US, and now I'm talking about like value yarns. Like we have some of our value yarns are really like good value. On the other hand, then back when Sherry sent me yarns from the US, like 2 years ago, you know, some of them still had price stickers on from the sales, and I was like shocked how cheap those were. So I don't know. The thing is, they are only 40 at full Michaels at full price. Michaels always have them at least 25% discount. Are they fluffy or anything like that? I should see if I could find one. Do I even want to look at the price? Like sometimes I can find them on Amazon and then I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to pay this price because they charge crazy prices, which is some of that to some extent is logic. I am curious though. Karen, anniversary cakes. I get the Colorama Halo. And I do have some Karen cakes popping up. I still think they're expensive though. I have the feel that the Karen cinnamon swirls are very much similar to some of Hobby's yarns. Yeah, they're definitely not quick look. They're definitely not on Amazon. Karen anniversary cakes. They should be my inspirations. It's a kilo of cake. It's all black. Does say discontinued though, but here's an option. A kilo of yarn. This looks nice though. Then of course you have the various options. Blue Shore, this is nice. I like it. Like how it looks. But I can imagine it could be splitty. A 1,000 grams to 1,061 yards. Okay. Calling for 8 millimeters needles or hooks. I learned something. Can only buy them at Michael's. Lisa confirms that the cakes I was talking about earlier are similar to Hobby's Horizon. Gotcha. Sometimes people resell them on Amazon and Etsy. Yeah, people especially resell things if they know that they can earn money on it, right? That's how people are. If they can make a dime on something, they will buy and resell. And the people who didn't do it but think it's a great idea and are jealous that they didn't do it or envious, they are the ones complaining about people reselling things. Though, yeah, it seems a bit weird to buy the yarn via Etsy because it seems like it should be more the actual crafts that are sold there. Yet it's kind of everything, right? 246. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about people reselling. I think people are free to do with their items as they please. I bought some yarn. I don't know if that's last year or a year ago. I'm unsure if it's 2 years ago. I think it could be 2 years ago. Anyhow, I did buy some yarn, which I actually have a full intent to use, but I got it at a such nice deal price that if I wanted to resell it, I could make double what I paid for it, literally. And I was like, yeah, I'll get it. Because if I don't use it, I can always resell it. People are willing to pay, and I'll be fine with that. Not that it's like a lot we're talking about. I think I spent 80 or something like that on the yarn. So probably like 85, $90. And I could definitely sell it back to the market single piece wise for more than I paid for it. And then I'm kind of okay with it. And sometimes, like I've also got a few hobby yarns for a good price for people clearing their stash. And if I know I can get the yarns for a price that's cheaper than hobby's normal sale price, then I'm also okay with doing that. Like it's sometimes people just quit their hobby and they want to sell their stash. You know, like personally, I can't imagine doing that. But like selling out yarn that you don't have any plans of using, sure, but quitting to sell everything, I can't imagine. But it's allowed me to grab a few good deals over the years for sure. We are almost done with this row. That's about an hour, but it's valid to say that we do have a lot of stitches in this row. Oh, what a yawn. Oh my goodness. I should have gotten like better by now. And a part of me thinking, is it because I'm getting warm that I'm yawning? I'm like, maybe, but I don't want to be cold either. Revenant says I'm okay with reselling yarn as long as you did not buy it with the intention of reselling it. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. So I didn't buy this yarn with it. The yarn I got for half the price, so to say. I didn't buy with the intention of reselling. It was more like if I really don't know what to use it for, I can always resell it, and I will still make my money back plus more. Like it won't decrease value. But but the intent is actually not to resell. I wanted to make some variegated shawl slash hats slash maybe even fingerless gloves is the thought of it. But haven't made any yet. 2, 4, 5, 6. Definitely. Agreed. If you wanted to use it, but life happened, and that's different than just buying it limited supplies to resell. I agree. I agree. Um, I can't blame people for trying to make something either, but I don't know if Michaels or Karen's then are even aware of the issue in that particular case. Lisa's of the opinion that people can do whatever they want with their yarn. I don't have to buy it. It's not like I will die without getting a specific ball of yarn. Also very valid. A while ago, this is also probably 2 years ago maybe, there was a person searching a specific yarn, and I happened to have it in my stash, and I hadn't really decided on the project I wanted to make with the yarn yet. I just ended up buying it because it was soft and it felt nice, and I had like 3 skeins of it. It was what was left in the store, and that's just how it is. And she was working, I think it was actually like a hexacardi or cardigan of some kind of a shirt. And she couldn't finish it because she had run out and there was nowhere to be found. So she was like kind of offering to pick it up. And I sold it to her for the same price I bought it for, plus shipping, because I hadn't decided on a project yet and I could make a person happy. So that's what I did. So that yarn I didn't earn money on it. I just bought it and sold it on basically. So end result wise. What I do see also is people who's trying to resell their yarns, which is absolutely fine, but they're trying to resell them at prices that's more expensive than the sale price. And that's usually not what people would buy, especially if they know specific yarns come on sale every so often. They would rather than buy new yarn for the sale price. But I don't comment on those people's posts. I don't say anything. I'm just thinking my own, being like, well, it probably won't sell, right? And that's it. That's where the thoughts leave me. And I don't antagonize people for their choices. It's so we are on the home stretch. And as I said a bit earlier, I think I can do more repeats with the yarn I have left here, but we'll see. Ideally, of course, I will be able to finish it somewhere nice. Because my feeling is even though it's gonna stretch when it's blocked, after these 3 repeats. It's not going to be that big. Plus, there's still plenty of yarn left. So there is that. I've joined the Do Not Care Club and I've lost my sense of FOMO. I sometimes suffer from FOMO, which is fear of missing out. But not always. It depends on what. Rev says, I'm almost done with the first repeat, and this is going to be pretty. The yarn is fairly soft for red heart, and I like how it's working up. It is a bit random, but fun. Nice. Always good when it works up pleasantly. Better than expected. So now I need to calculate. So we're skipping this one, which means this one is for the back post. And then no chain 1, but we are skipping the next one, and in the space over here we will do the 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6. Awesome. Meanwhile, cheers. Don't forget to hydrate. I have 3 stitches left of this row. So that is what we're gonna do right here, right now. Ta-ta! Row done. Complete. Then, oh, I really apologize for all my yawning here. We are gonna flip it around, and then it's a lot of back post, front posts, double crochet. So this should be a quick row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll flip around. Then, my friends, it's 8 back posts, front posts, 6 back posts, front posts, 6 back, and it's just right. Yep, easy peasy. After I finish this sock, I think I'm going to make a few baby blankets on my knitting machine. Do you have like one of those big panel machines, or is it more like a Centro or Atti knitting machine we're talking about? At some stage, I was like, I would want to get a Centro or an Atti, and then I was like, it takes up space. I don't need it yet. And it's stayed away. 2, 4, 6, 8. Awesome. And then we are on the front post. I'm quite sure that is around the 2. it is. Oh, I do have. Oh no, not there yet. Not here yet. Then we have a chain one. Then in between of those centers, we do have chains between that. Okay. Okay. A question for everyone. Speaking of knitting machines, how do you feel about people saying they are making handmade items but using one of those machines? It bothers me if they are selling it as handmade because it's not, it's machine made. Yeah, it's hand cranked. In that case, one would say. Um, so yeah, it's a borderline, I would say. It's borderline. Maybe more like it's man-made or person-made, like because it still takes energy to kind of run the hand cranked version. Um, but it would be fair for sellers of it to mention that it's not been knit by hands, but been knit by, well, it has been personally made, so to say, or been made by the person or the crafter. Mentioning having used a knitting machine would be fair. I think it's a borderline question. I can't really define what I think because a part of me agrees and a part of me is like, yes, but you still made sort of labor to create it. I have two flatbed machines, different gauges. Okay. If it's a gift of personal use, I don't care what it says. Lisa agrees it bothers her that if people say these things are handmade. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kinda The blankets I'm making are for gifts. I make blankets for the babies at our church, which is such a nice thing to do, Lisa. Really. 2, 4, 5. I need one more. Yeah. Yeah, like if they say handmade and then sort of in the description still write that they used a machine to. They still use their hands with the machine, but it's not hand knit. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. Mm. It's not something I'm gonna be in troubles with because I don't have a knitting machine. At some stage, I was debating on getting one, but I think so. While I see the practical use of one, I also think it won't give me the same satisfaction, and therefore sort of feels less relevant to get. Um, and reality is just I have so many other things I'd like to do. So, do I really need one? To make those tube hats and so on, of course, it's really handy dandy to have one. But generally, yeah, I don't think it's too cool if, yeah, I think it's more personally handmade if people put in real hand efforts the whole way, so to say. Yeah. You can't classify it as 100% handmade, at least. I think. I guess one would probably have to talk with an attorney, maybe, to see if there is anything specified in when are you allowed to use the word handmade. Or would it then change to be homemade because it's made in your home by a person? It's not commercially made, but it is made on a machine. Would it be homemade rather than handmade then? You guys let me know. Would it be or wouldn't it? I think that was maybe a way to put it in perspective. Lisa says I can't speak for an Adia Centro, but with flatbed machines, it's a skill that does need to be learned. I still don't think it's on par with hand stitching, but it's still a very different skill. Valid. There's a lady on TikTok who advertises as handmade for all of her TikToks are using an Addy with a drill. So she's not even turning the crank. All she does is cast on and cast off. Lisa says legally I think it would be okay to say handmade, but it's just not hand stitched. I don't like it, but I think it would be legal. Yeah, that's probably the case. Oh, I think it's a difficult question. I think this is also a question that raises like eyebrows across the board, especially for those who feel that they are 100% cool with saying it's handmade and actually making money on it like that. Yeah. All mine are hand stitched. Even the linen on my Notions bag / Notions pouch is stitched in my hands. Though I was almost debating on seeing if I should get some sort of sewing machine. That's then the question. If you sew something yourself by hand, is it handmade? Like not like you use a sewing machine to sew something together, for example, the lining of a bag. To what extent is it handmade? Rev says, I agree, it just bothers my pedantic side. Yeah. There is always something that bothers us somewhere, isn't there? The argument did continue a bit this past weekend as to what rights I would have had to sell my stuff in Germany. Anyhow. There was we still had some discussions this past weekend with some of the other Germans, and we still seem to not be completely agreeing on European sales law, I guess it would be in this case, and the rights you have. But and yes, as Revenant says, if you haven't given me a thumbs up yet and you're in here watching, shame on you. Do remember to give me some thummies. Because I see we have 8 watchers and only 7 thummies. Well, 8 thummies now. Yay! The more thummies, the better. Even if you're just here for a short minute, a thumbie helps. Who knows? Maybe we can get out there and find some new people. Some new people who want to hang out with us and craft. We could learn from them. They could learn from us. 2, 4, 6. During this morning coffee hour, whatever we should call it. Afternoon craft. Lisa says, I always do it on the way in. Thank you, Lisa. Well, why not do it if you get the advertisements before it starts in any case? And exactly, sometimes a call to action is a good thing, because sometimes we might have forgotten, not intentionally, but we might have forgotten. Oh my goodness, yarn split. So, better. We'll redo. And Lisa doesn't get ads because she has YouTube Premium. And I hear some crazy sound from outside, but I have no idea what it is. Rev also, I believe, has YouTube Premium. Lucky you guys. On that premium note, I am rather annoyed with Prime these days because they changed. Normally, you would just have to subscribe to Prime and you would have access to Prime ad free. Now I still have Prime, but they want me to pay more to get Prime ad free. That annoys the crap out of me. It's like HBO. If you pay the premium subscription, you don't get ads. And if you pay the cheap one, you get ads. Then on the other side, greedy me. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. That's a financial version of me, but it annoys me. Ads do annoy me. Ah, Reverend says it also allows my wife to have the music going on when she's at work with the screen off. That's valid. That's valid. That's the reason actually I decided to get the Spotify premium a while ago, because then I didn't need to have the screen ongoing all of the time, which is really inconvenient if you're out and about. Plus, you also didn't have the ads. So yeah, I did actually do it for Shopify, like Shopify, Spotify. Lisa says Prime also knows her. Yeah, American ads are so horrible, I pay extra, Rose says. I can't feel myself losing brain cells when watching American ads. I have to say, there is actually a really good advertisement right now on European Prime or the Dutch Prime. And it's basically, I'm not sure if I can translate it, but I will try. It's about not being scammed on the internet. So laat je niet interneppen. So basically that is like, don't get scammed by the internet, or don't get scammed. Like, be clever and don't get scammed is basically like the rough translation. And it's because there is a lot of texts going around in the Netherlands from scam providers being like, hey mom, I'm a bit short on this month's rent. Could you please transfer me or whatever? And then, or hey mom, I got a new number because whatever, I lost my old phone. All these weird messages, or hey dad, for that matter, and it's fake because they're trying to lure you into something, which preferably ends up getting them the scammers cash. They are like trying to convince you to. So the advertisement is basically quite simple, being like, if you receive a suspicious text from somebody, think 3 times if you really want to do it. I think I might actually even have one, which is, yeah, here. It's a really nice one. It's very short. It's sent to me in a text on Friday, 17th of October at 11 minutes past. Short text, it says here, hello mom, I just changed to a new provider and therefore I have a new number. Could you please send me a WhatsApp up? And then they sent me this link, and then my old number you can remove, which is like, yeah, when you then do that, it's cool. But for me, it's easy because somebody that writes to me, hey mom, I know it's not for me because I don't have any kids. But there are genuinely people that would fall for this. And they continue because obviously people keep falling for it. But I really like the fact that there is an advertisement actively playing saying, like, think twice. So I think that's really, really positive. Especially also because these days AI is turning out to be more and more, it gets more clever. Like, my biggest fear is that somebody would call my parents, or for that sake, my mom-in-law, trying to impersonate me, saying that they need something and make people make money or based on that, because it's real. Like, I've seen it. A really good example is that I believe it's 2 years ago now, my mom-in-law actually did end up getting scammed, not because somebody said, hey mom, I got a new number, but they called and said that they were from the bank, warning her that there was a lot of scams going around these days, and therefore they wanted to secure her finances for her and stuff like that. And yeah, that was not so cool. And she kept saying that she would like to actually talk with her son, which is my partner, and yeah, they were like really pushy, trying to prevent her to do so, because obviously they were also aware if she got to do that, she would probably figure out this was going to be a scam. So yeah, and the thing is, we say it's hilarious, but we really need to think twice sometimes on things. There are also a Dutch program who's bringing into light scammers around the world, various scams, either that you can risk meeting up when traveling, like how you can end up getting scammed there, especially on very exotic, popular vacation spots. But some also just prove scams for like random stuff, right? And it's not that long ago, there was a program again on TV where actually our neighbors had helped solving this crime. He's an old policeman, he's retired, and his wife has been helping taking care of a guy that has had a stroke. And due to the stroke, he's quite limited in movement and speech and so on. He's gotten impaired from it. He used to have a house in Spain, and it's then been decided that he was to sell the house in Spain and so on. And they had found this lawyer who was going to help him with everything, and they had gone to Spain, and the lawyer had basically ended up ripping his bank accounts because the lawyer had turned himself into being the responsible for his bank accounts. And when everything had been settled, eventually that lawyer um, had packed up his suitcases and taken off and moved to Thailand, which is like a crazy story on its own, right? So this lawyer basically abused a person who needed help because he's unable to take care of his own finances due to the stroke. And they found him in Thailand, and they confronted him, and they had agreed to another meeting talking about it and stuff like that. And the day of the meeting, he didn't turn up, and they called and they got his new Thai wife on their phone. And she was like, he's at the hospital. And they were like, yeah, we don't believe you. And then they drove to his home because they had figured out where he lives and so on. And it was true. Like, the neighbors even said that he was at the hospital. So they got the proof. They went to the hospital, and they were told he was hospitalized because he himself had had a stroke, which is crazy, right? Like, it's kind of karma that a lawyer who scams a person with a stroke ends up getting a stroke himself, not knowing how and what. And he was also underinsured, so nobody really knows how his story is ending in Thailand. The TV company or the filming crew did inform the Dutch embassy that he was at the hospital with a stroke, and that he didn't have the insurance to hand because he had had surgery due to the stroke as well. So nobody really knows what's gonna end up there, but yeah, it's kind of sad. I think he scammed like 130,000 euros. So I don't know, $150,000 maybe. The scammers aren't hilarious. The PSA is the scammers are infuriating. Yeah, yeah, it's quite infuriating. We can definitely agree about that. And how they attempt it. Like, I laugh when I get these texts being, "Hey mom," or "Hey dad," because obviously I know it's not for me. And the same for my partner. It's like, "Oh, we have kids we didn't know we have." In my case, like, for a man, it's a lot easier to have children that they don't know about. But for women, you better know if you've given birth to a child or not. Um, I think that's very, very valid. And I know I didn't. So I can very easily conclude that the "Hey Mom" message is not intended for me. Look up the North American house hippo. Okay, I will do. I'm just gonna finish this to the top, and then I will go have a Google on it. It's just like 6 stitches or something like that, because that's a nice place to temp stop. But yeah, I don't understand why people want to scam others. And really, if you are going to do something, make sure you have enough to comfortably live the rest of your life, and you're so good you will never get covered. And yet, still, I disrespect it. But yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8. That's probably true. 9, maybe no 8. How much should it be in the center? 4, 6, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. That matches. And then we'll have the next ones. So let's see. What did you say? The house hippo is great. North American house hippo. North American house hippo. I love this. Oh, let's pop over to the Google. Google AI says the North American house hippo is a fictional creature from 1999 Canadian Public Service Announcement PSA, designed to teach critical thinking about media. The ad humorously presented a tiny hippo-like animal that supposed lived in people's homes, leading many children to believe it was real. Aww. Because its lasting cultural impact, the house hippo has now been reintroduced by organizations like Media Smarts in new PSAs on addressed modern issues like the prevalence of deepfakes and online misinformation. Which is true because, just because you read it on Wikipedia doesn't necessarily mean it's a valid source. I was taught when I wrote my thesis, also almost 20 years ago, my goodness, not completely 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that Wikipedia was not a valid source. And the reason for that is because people like you and I can go and edit Wikipedia as we want. So Wikipedia is not a valid source to quote. Thank you. I guess I learned something. Do we have photos of the house hippo? That is a tiny house hippo. That is cute. That is cute. Way better than the don't put it in your mouth. That one is freaky as hell. Those are core memories from my childhood. I like them. It's a good idea. I think what we also like, but to some extent, people can better learn by doing because you know that you should not put your hand on the hot furnace because it is going to hurt. But you only learn by, at some stage, to have touched something warm so you feel that heat radiation from it. And therefore, you know not to touch it, if that makes sense. It's a video ad. Watch it at some stage. I will definitely do. I will most definitely do. So, mm, 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 mm. As I said to you guys, I feel we should be changing color soon. But honestly, looking at this, I'd say no. We should then go into solid light purple. Right now we have a single strand of the dark purple left. Two, 4, 6, 8, 9. Perfect. I will show you guys how far we are actually on the slowly thinner and thinner cake. As you can see, we still have a bit left, but it's getting less. It is definitely getting less. We could try to have it here. I just need to move this a bit then. This could maybe work, so you can kind of see how it's going, I guess. I'm supposed to get my spinning wheel tomorrow if UPS behaves. That's always the question. If the postal service does what they're supposed to. Okay. So the real question is if we will reach that. We have like another hour-ish. If we don't get too distracted. The issue is just when the cake is standing right where it's standing, it's kinda in my way. Yeah. I'd rather have it out to the side. It's easier working. I have more. I feel I can move my hands more. I'm going to just shortly show what Revenant shared here. He says this is how his project is currently working up in the Red Hearts all-in-one Granny yarn. In the Fifi blanket by Yuan, the yarn addict as a designer. I like the colors of this yarn. It's a nice mix. Two, 4, and 6. So it is a really nice mix of colors for sure. They complement each other well. I'm looking forward to see it once you have gone a bit further. Meanwhile, I'm just cranking along here. We're at 6. I like how this is working up. This particular row combined with the previous row. And it's definitely the front post back post combination here. Like once this gets blocked and it gets this nice extra texture, it works up so nicely. Yep, still 6. But yeah, the good thing is here we've had the center, which means that we are heading out on the last half bit of this row. Curious to see what the next row brings us. But we can have a look at the cake once this row is gone, gone, to have an idea maybe if we are any closer to. I think we might have something in the far, far distance that could be a color change. Ta-da. Of course, I'll also be back on Wednesday with the live. And then Friday, we are here with a yarn talk. And then I'm heading off to Denmark for a few days. Then I will be live on the Friday the following week because I'll be back home from Denmark. I skipped a round of the pattern. Oops, I will need to go back and frog that out. But just to get an idea of how the yarn is working up. You're definitely not having the right amount of coffee yet, by the sound of it. Or did you by accident buy decaf? Like, go check the package. You didn't put on the decaf. That would be my recommendation. This was just me skipping a line in the written pattern. Ah, okay, so you were just overseeing it, so to say. Well, I think we've all been there at some stage. I thought the line escape was the second set of twins. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Lisa says next week has the potential to be a busy week. Hunting season opens in a week, and hubby and the youngest son are going. They're having potential coming back with 4 deer. Ooh. Do you have like a free ground where you can go hunt, or do you also have to like lease ground where you can hunt, or how does that work in Canada? Like, I have a good idea of how that's working here in Europe, but I do believe due to the fact of the size of surroundings are much larger there might be some different rules as to how that's functioning, in practicality at least. Like, do you obtain a license for a max amount of animals, or are you allowed to go? And then you will be told by the forests responsible how many animals you're allowed to take down, or how does that work? Rev says he has to go to back 2 rounds on his project, but they're small rounds. I'd rather do this now than when there are 100 stitches on each side. That's my point. Now I don't want to frog this anymore. Like, if I really don't have to, I would be really, really not happy to frog. I'd like to prevent. Which is also why I'm not working on Fleur here, because I remember last time I worked on Fleur, I ended up having to frog a round and a half back, so basically had done almost nothing. Because I made a mistake. And with mosaic crochet, you will see some mistakes reasonably quick. So it's not something you can just sort of skip, because it will affect the rest of the mosaic blanket as well. Lisa says they have to get permission from landowner to hunt there. That makes good sense. You have to get a special certificate called a hunter safety certificate. Then you can buy tags for your deer that you shoot. The allowable amount of changes every year with the deer population. Yeah, okay. So there are some sort of a governmental forestry that kind of keeps track on if it's good or bad deer years, and if more or less might need to get regulated, so to say. Because you want to regulate the amount you have, so it doesn't get so they don't starve based on the food available for them. But nor do you want them to be removed too much, because then you have a complete opposite problem, and they might go extinct, and that you don't want either. So We have a very high deer population this year, so in other words, I hope you have your freezer ready. That is, if your son and husband is lucky on their endeavors. Because that is what it would require, right? Mm-mm-mm. According to this, we did get a new member today, a new subscriber. So whoever is there watching and hiding, welcome. We are happy to have you with us. No, Jan was with us earlier, actually. At least from what I know. Lisa says her freezers are ready, but we keep the tenderloins and everything else we make into sausage. Deer sausage. Oh, I get all hungry. I get all hungry. I've been used to stuff like from my youth, and I remember a few years ago, um, like one of the local guys, also at the club, he goes hunting for geese, and I said, "Oh, if you have an extra, I'd like to have one day." And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm not gonna like, I don't have time to like, I'll go hunt them, but I don't have time to frog it." And I'm like, yeah, sure, don't worry. I'm like used to doing stuff from like my childhood. And when he came with the goose, with the goose or the geese, he just had one, but I got it and I like looked at it and was like, oh fuck, that's huger than I remembered. That's larger. But I did skin it myself and took care of it. But I did have a moment where I'm thinking, okay, that is not exactly gonna go how I thought it would go down, because I don't have the remedies to do what I thought I would do, and I ended up skinning it instead. I was also told because it was shot with a shotgun, it would be better to skin it regardless, because then you could see um, the heels, like the pellets where it had been hit, and obviously you don't want to chew that. I used to have a guy bring me a bag of deer jerky every year. That's nice. We mix the venison with some pork for the sausage. It's too lean on its own. I can imagine. So it gets a bit like I would call it leather. Do you also do like deer jerky ish from some of it, like dry it up to have some easy ones? A colleague of mine, a work colleague of mine, is from Sweden, and she's actually generally she is a vegetarian, with the exception of elk. They hunt elk or moose, um, and that is the only meat she will eat. And I understand it's not so much because she's vegetarian due for the animals or something. It's more like a taste thing. And there are certain things I don't eat either just because of the taste. Like I do definitely eat meat, but I don't eat horse meat because I think horse meat is too sweet. But you can present me with a deer any day. Lisa says I don't do jerky. I could, but I don't. Okay. Canadian moose are so much bigger than you think they should be. That's probably the same with the elk. Like I know in the case of the elk, like don't stand in the middle between a mama elk and a baby elk. And if you do, you're probably fucked. Also, the size wise is so that if you drive under it, you can't. So, like if you drive in a normal person's car and it crosses the road and you crash into it, you're likely to die because of the sheer size. So I think moose and elk are sort of similar. Um, it's just the European and North American version of them, is my impression. Or there is probably a difference though. Let's see. Moose are larger. Yeah, we do have moose. That's what I think about when I see a moose. It's a moose. Yes, we do have moose. So it's not elk. It's moose. Would the North Americans then be elks? Hmm. That is the $1,000,000 question. It's not an elk, it's a moose. So those I know are mooses. But it's I don't there might be some varieties based on the same. Elk and moose are not well defined in the English-speaking world. What is called an elk in one place is called a moose in another, and vice versa. Aha. I guess we learned something. But yeah, those I know are moose. I've seen one in real life as well, in Sweden. Those are huge. We have the odd moose here. Moose are way bigger than elk. I've only ever seen a moose on the loose once. I was up in Maine. Rev, they're huge. Like, they're just insanely huge. That's my 5 cents on that topic. You could probably also like feed the village for a winter. There's a lot of meat on one. You don't need to get one every year. And they swim very well as well. Actually, they're well swimmers. But yeah, they're dangerous as well. You can't just like a deer. If you drive into a deer, your car might be a bit bent, but generally, the deer is one hurting most. If you drive into a moose, then your car is fucked, and so are you, and the moose is just annoyed. Um, so yeah, I'm familiar with moose. I've seen them also in real life, in wild, at least the European versions of them. One of our employees hit a deer with a work truck on Saturday. Oh, bummer. What happened? Like, to the deer/truck? I'd assume the truck has a bend somewhere or scratch. Not sure if the deer was too happy either. Depend on the speed how it got hit with as well, right? Do, 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 do. Oh, don't split on me, yarn. Fixed. We are almost at the end here. He's fine. The truck drives, but the whole one side of the truck is going to need to be replaced. And the front bumper. The deer died. Sort of what I imagined. Glad to hear the employee is fine though. But this is where I would say bring the deer home and then use it for something purposeful now when it was so unfortunate to be in the way, because it would be a shame just to leave it out, right? On the other hand, you do have like coyotes and wolves and bears and so on that would probably be happy with an easy meal. But if the deer further than that was a healthy deer, I would just bring it with me home and consume. Kind of felt purposeful then. You don't want to eat them? Their internal organs burst. Yeah, okay. So you like all the intestines is out in the meat, and therefore the meat goes distasty, and you'd rather leave it for carnivores. I have to admit, I didn't consider that. Mm-mm-mm. And then we skip over here without a chain. Exactly. Okay, I was right. I didn't consider that actually. When I was a kid, we were traveling up the I-95 to a semi-truck with a trailer. A deer jumped out on the road in front of the truck. The speed limit was 80 miles per hour. The deer exploded into a pink mist. Oh my goodness. That's the same with some of those truck trains in Australia, right? Like they're dangerous as well because of the pace they drive with and the weight behind them. A similar thing just wouldn't happen as quickly in Europe, I guess. We don't have these long truck trains in the same way. It is kind of scary though, just being poof like that. 2, 4, 6. Once, that was in Czech Republic. We were driving to the airport. They were bringing me away for taking the flight before they were driving back. And when they did that, I swear to you, we had like a long stretch of highway. And in front of us, I at some stage saw this car ending up in an accident because it kind of drove into / under the truck and got stuck and like flipped around and everything. And I swear to you, had we been like 300 to 400 meters closer, we would have been involved in the accident as well. And you just see it in front of you. And I was like, what just happened there? Like we were all in shock of what we saw. Um, Sometimes like this crazy stuff just happens. Um, Goody goody. I believe I do finish with 8. I do. So I should have 8 here. 2, 4, 6, 8. I do. Then we'll somehow. Oh, it's such a fiddly work. Oh, that turned into fiddly work because I had caught some of the yarn already. Okay. This is so weird. Okay, well, if we do it like this, that was better. These turning chains sometimes can be a nightmare to catch the right one in. So we finished this row, my friends, and as promised, the next row is quick, so I should definitely be able to finish that too. This is where we are at yarn-wise, cake-wise. I have the feeling there's a few places where it's a bit broader, but I'm unsure if it's yet. Because if I'm looking, but up here it also looks a lot less dark purple. So I think it's happening soon, right? That should definitely be soon. Okay. Next row is definitely going to be a quick row. 2, 3, 4. And turn the work around and we'll grab and we will work in a double crochet in that, and then we'll chain 1. No stitch skipped. And then it's basically chain 1 double crochet, chain 1 double crochet all the way to the center. And here we should very well end with a double crochet in the last stitch before the middle. Okay. I think I've only tried to drive down a pheasant. I don't remember deers. And even pheasants or doves, birds, they can also quite havoc your car, trust me. Oh. Oop. Do. So now I need to keep track. This looks good. And then I know there is a chain there, so I'll need to skip that. Then this should be good to hit the right stitches, I believe. Should be learning soon enough. But I would say that I've calculated correct. And as mentioned, due to the chains in this section, it is a somewhat quicker row. And we do not mind that at all. Can pace it up a little bit. It's already 4:15 here in the Netherlands. And looking outside, it's grey. And for Rev, it's time to get going. Thank you for your kind wishes. I will see you Wednesday morning if you happen to be around by then. And if not, then I'll see you next time. Take care. Wonderful to have you around. And thank you so much for the gifted membership. I'm sure Diane appreciates it, and so do I. Lisa says our nephew is also going hunting and taking his son. If they all get allowable deer, there will be up to 8 to process. We will turn our shop into temporary butcher shop. Sounds definitely like you need a butcher shop for 8 deer, especially if you like get them all on the same day. That will be quite a bit of work, right? So what I can say is just good luck. Of course, I kind of hope you succeed, because we talked about prices the other day, I think, like food prices maybe we have done once. And that would be like a nice addition to your pantry, right? It's work, but it's kind of free-ish compared to. The deer here are at a nuisance amount. Our friend and I. Phil, you pressed enter too soon, but I'm sure the rest of the information comes. I think they have some places in Denmark also where they have too much deer population. The farmers will definitely complain when their crops get eaten, which I totally understand, of course. A friend that has the hunting land is a farmer and has hundreds of deer that are eating entire fields of wheat. Yeah, that's what I say. The farmers aren't happy when their crops get eaten. So if they already laid out the crop for next year, like some do winter sowing of grain, wheat, for example, they would slowly start sprigging or sprouting, and the deer knows nothing better than fresh wheat sprouts, which is a costly issue for the farmer, obviously. I do believe the farmer is of the convention that, of course, there should be room for both deer and human, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, it needs to be at a reasonable amount, right? So a reasonable amount of deers versus crops getting lost and so on. Exactly, it's quite expensive for the farmer. I think the farmer is okay losing some, but not much, in the sense of, like, for the natural scheme of things, so to say. But the issue is the farmer doesn't get compensated by the consumer, right? The consumer only pays for what they get. They don't consider the fact that the farmer lost, let's say, 10% of his yield, or maybe 20% of his yield, due to grazing deer. I think we have done good progress today. We're definitely not done yet, but it's I like this project for these lives, unless of course I should start some other project, but Right now I'm quite comfy with just focusing on the shawl and um, the fleur. It is a busy week to come. Saturday I will be traveling. I will be away until Thursday. Yes, the farmer does think there should be both deer and humans, but when the deer strip wheat fills overnight, it's a problem amount. Plus, the population is so high they will starve in the winter. Exactly, that's my point with the regulation bit. It needs to be at a reasonable amount, right? Like, deer and men needs to be able to live in harmony, um, without starvation and other potential risks, so to say. Um, I've realized that I tend to grab it all up. I should. Ooh. Did this go well? No, it did not. Not today. Just trying to get you guys a bit closer to my project so you can actually easier see what I'm doing. But we are not changed color yet. We are getting closer, but we haven't yet. And given how this color kind of runs, I would say once this color changes that we are exactly halfway in the cake. So we could definitely do another repeat, would be the goal. I don't feel we are yet at a place where I need to physically weigh the yarn. I will at some stage have to ensure I have enough for the repeats. But I don't feel that we are there yet. Also, when the deer population gets high, the coyotes and wolf population gets high, and that's a problem. Yes, of course, because everything goes like when food are plentiful, um, the animals often tend to get more young, right? Um, like sunbirds might get 2 nests in a summer, but in a good summer they will get 3, just to take an example. So as plentiful the food is, the more likelihood you are to have more birds and more everything, because they conclude, oh, there's plenty of food, then I should breed to get more offspring. We are almost at the center here. Not yet, but we are definitely getting closer. That's what I told you. This row is a particularly quick row. We are allowed to have some of those. Feels you made extra progress because that means that we have done 3 rows at the end of this live. Hopefully actually a bit more. Plus we have been inspired. I haven't seen coyotes here, but I can hear them every evening in the summer. So they are definitely there. They are just not in the close vicinity of humans, basically. That is my conclusion. Um, mm -mm. Oh my goodness, so far the stitch count is matching. I don't gonna say who would have thought, but I almost have the feeling. And we just made their turn, which means that we have half a row left of this row. And obviously still no clear evidence of, oh, it's stuck. The yarn is stuck to my shirt. No yet clear definition of when the color change will happen. Then, so it's not happening today, then definitely will happen Wednesday, but it just says something about how long these, the change of these Stanley Muffin mini locks are. For those wondering, the yarn I'm using is a Stanley Muffin mini locks, which is 90% acrylic and 10% Lurex. It is a 4-stranded thread, so there's 3 strands of acrylic and 1 strand of Lurex. They are within half a mile, which is close enough. I totally would agree about that. I have a friend who's in New Jersey / New Hampshire, and she sometimes tells me about the coyotes, and even sometimes bears, mainly bears. Sometimes they have a bear. She has dogs though. Um, Chingity ching ching. We are just progressing nice and long. This is quite easy since this is a chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and every time you chain you also skip a stitch. Lisa says we don't have bears here, thankfully. Yeah, no, I don't think I would be too happy with them either in the neighborhood. I know there are wolves here in the Netherlands, but not any close to where we are. And that also has a bit to do with nature. We are somewhat denser populated here, so the nature just doesn't allow for it in the same way, at least. And I know in Denmark there are places now where the wolf is returning from Germany actually, and there is a big argument if they're supposed to be there or not. But once upon a time, many years ago, they were there and then they got extinct and now they have sort of returned. And obviously, you shouldn't want to introduce animals that's not native. But once upon a time, wolves were native, and they do believe that wolves partially can help regulate some of the deer population. But then you have the farmers, especially those with sheep, who's not too happy. And I think it's because prior, these farmers did not need to have wolf secure fencing. They just needed to have sheep secure fencing, if that makes sense. So I guess those who's really upset are those who need to invest more in keeping their sheep safe than those who's just doing it. Lisa says we have cougars that are starting to return here. They are terrifying. I can imagine. To some extent, I think it's cool. And to some extent, I don't think I would like it if I actually lived there, if that makes sense. I also know that at some stage, me and my partner would love to tour the States, see some of these national parks, and so on. But there's many places we'd love to go to. The thing is, we don't have children. We don't plan on getting them either. It's also kind of getting a bit late. Theoretically, it's possible still, but it's not a good or wise thing. But you know, the idea of like I don't want to like there is not really somebody to inherit me. Then like why would I leave a fortune behind? What I would like to is to just have enjoyed life and hopefully have spent everything without dying in debt. Yeah, and travel around and enjoy the world and stuff like that once I'm done with my working life. That would be nice. Black bears are wimps. They run away if you are noisy. Any other bear is another story. Yeah, I know we have like brown bears in Scandinavia, like in Norway, Sweden. Something went wrong, error. Nice. I hope you guys are still with me. We are getting closer to the end of this row, which is pretty amazing. I wish we had more quick rows like this. We don't. Sadly. Well, we could maybe, but I actually don't know if we are on to just pure double crochet after this. We'll have to check. That could be, but I am not sure. But we'll know soon enough. There are bears in Provence, just not in my area. The Provence we have black, brown, and polar bears. And no grizzlies? Polar bears can also be pretty terrifying, especially when they're hungry. No grizzlies. Okay, that's something. So, look, we have very little left of this row. Grizzlies are more of a coastal areas. Okay, I did not know that. So this is why I really like these lives. I learned something as well when hanging out with you guys. We are soon gonna see what's up next. Do-do. Could also bring a ball of yarn and my knitting needles for Denmark. Could be there long enough to do something. Could. I have time to think. Like Friday, I'll be packing most of it down after I finished work. The scariest wildlife we have here is skunks. Over 90% have rabies. Oh, goodness. Yeah, and they stink, right? Skunks can really stink horribly. Like, you can get skunked, so to say. And then with rabies on top is definitely terrifying. Don't think what can be done against it. Not much, I'm afraid. Okay, how was the end again? Chain 1, double crochet, treble crochet. Okay, so we did that. We did this. And a treble. Row finished. Awesome. We have done 3 rows in total. Well, it's popcorn time. So this is like popcorn, some double crochets, popcorn, double crochets, etc. Popcorn time. That's what it is. Yeah, I would say let's get going. We definitely won't reach to finish this row, I can tell you already. It's too much work for the time available, but we can definitely reach to make a dent. So we'll start by chaining 4 to double crochets, yeah, and then we'll do another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So good, and then it's popcorn, which is 4 double crochets in the same stitch. So we'll start by doing that. We'll pull up a bit extra length and we'll go back and go into the chain of the first of those 4. Pull through and a chain to close it. Done. Popcorn complete. And then I'll have to do 7 double crochets and popcorn, and that's like all the way until I reach the tip. And we have about 15-ish, 15 to 17 minutes left. That is why I say I know for sure that we won't finish this row. But we will have started it, and then we can continue on a Wednesday. And looking at the yarn right now, I don't think the color change will come today. Based on that time estimate. Maybe I can be surprised, but I really don't think so. 2, 4, 6, 7, and popcorn time. Yeah, they do stink, but I've learned how to de-skunk due to my dogs tangling with them. Yeah, and then I definitely hope that your dogs have rabies vaccines, right? Because that is a scary thought of them getting infected from the skunks. Knowing dogs, of course, they curious animals, they will go play with everything, even though it's a skunk, or if it's yeah, what are we calling them? What are they called? Squirrels. No, not squirrels. What are they called? They'll mess with any animal basically, unless they know that it will be a bad idea. But I have the feeling that sometimes dogs don't learn from their past actions. And when I'm so old I cannot travel anymore, that's when I'd like to have a companion dog. That would be nice. 6, 7. Lisa says the dogs are fully vaccinated. They try to protect us from the skunks. Oh, that's cute. Take care, Susan. Wonderful to have you hanging around with us today. 2, 4. I will be back on Wednesday, same time, same place. Yeah, I'm now starting to see some of the solid purples in behind. But it's not much yet. So we will definitely need a few more stitches. 2, 4, 6, 7. I will show you guys the cake before closing down. Of course, I will do that, as well as we will have a little look on the shawl. That said, of course, this shawl really first will show its true fully potential once it has seen my blocking board. Meanwhile, Lisa only has another 14 rows until she starts to decrease for the toe. I do assume on the socks you're currently knitting. I really should learn to knit socks on that note. 2, 4, 5. It's just not my priority. 2, 4, 6, 7. I'd rather learn to knit a sweater than I'd learn to knit socks. And I think it's because I'd quicker be using sweaters than knit socks. And I do have a fair amount of knit socks. And compared to the amount I use them, they definitely haven't been worn out yet. So generally, I am quite sure I'm more inclined to learn to knit sweaters. Because in the winter, I use them a fair bit. Six, 7. Meanwhile, it is a 5:48 p.m. Oh, sorry, not 5. It's 4:48 p.m. So it is 12 minutes to 5. My stomach is also slowly telling me that it's dinner time. And I'm not fully disagreeing with it. It is slowly getting dinner time. What's for dinner? You may ask, and I will say it is going to be a pasta with a mushroom sauce. It's a ravioli. And it's a ravioli filled with spinach and some sort of cheese. After Argentina, I'll be knitting some sweaters. Yeah, I know, and that will be taking some time. So you may have a few places where you feel like you would like to use start on a different project because they will take forever. And I know I will have a situation myself once I get to the phase where I'm starting on that. But first, I have a few other smaller projects I'm going to start working on. I think we discussed those Friday. As I said, I do want to 6, 7. I do want to learn to knit better. But before going there, there's just a few things I'd like to try first. Oh no. The yarn split. It's only one stitch you have to redo, but still. I did break my own rule and started another project. I started the Lost Soul Shawl. We talked about it was a project you had planned, so not completely. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong in running 2 WIPs at the same time. Because, sorry, I'm just having some errors on my technical end I'm trying to keep track of. But yeah, I think it's nice to have a few different projects to change between. Like, and if you have like a knit and a crochet project, like you can do what you feel like. I accept due to generally only having like I do have multiple WIPs going on that I then also work a bit slower or I don't finish them as quickly. 2, 4, 6, 7. And I'm feeling fine with that, so to say. Because it's a choice I make. I am also quite sure that I'm not necessarily in the mood to continue on this shawl after I've spent the last 3 hours crocheting on it. Then I'll be more than happy to do something else for the evening. Two, 4, 6, 7. And I do have a few things I should do tonight. So, as I mentioned earlier, I do have some intentions of after dinner to visit the fitness center. Because obviously I need to do my exercises. I need to, have to, I should do. Because I'm paying for it. I want to get fitter. If I'm going to join the hobby bingo, well, it starts at 5 and usually I go off at 5. I sometimes join the hobby bingo. I generally don't win. That's my luck. So I do sometimes do the hobby bingo. But it kind of depends on the day. The Mondays are usually not the best time. 2, 4, 6, 7. I used to, especially when I was still working with customer support, because I was working until 6. So the last hour of my work day was basically hobby bingo. Well, not complete because I could also have calls, but it could run in the background easier. Now I'm usually busy, kind of like, I could probably put it on the background. It's not a bad idea, actually. Because if you just get started on it, you'll still get the 25 points. Yay, I should do that. Put my hobby to English and join that bingo. That is actually not a bad idea. Because we all know that my birthday is in January, and I've talked about probably needing to get something in January. And if we go there, then I do have points I want to spend as well. So 5, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7. So maybe that is actually not too bad idea to pop in for the bingo. But I won't be doing it here on the channel because I don't have time for it. Because I'll be cooking dinner when it's running. We tend usually to eat between 5:30 and 6 here in the Netherlands, or at least here in this home. And we have started doing that again after I finished working in the customer service department. And I've got a more flexible job. We are kind of happy to again eat at what we classified as normal times before we felt it was a bit late. But it's just a question of what you're used to, obviously. 2, 4, 6, 7. Exactly. Can't hurt to get those free 25 points. That was my thought. I dream of winning, but I can then tell you my luck tells me I won't. That's usually how it works. So we are gonna do another popcorn. That is probably about where we need to end this crocheting bit. I can also feel on my hand and face and eyes and neck and everything that I am getting a little bit tired. 7 will do this popcorny. Lisa says we eat late compared to most people. We eat around 7 to 7:30. Yeah, oh my goodness. We did that sometimes when I was in the customer service because, you know, I worked over or whatever, and we could first start cooking when I'd finished work. Not because he can't cook, well, he prefers not to, but that's another story. But my working environment was kind of in the same public space as the kitchen, and that would just make too much noise to work. So it was I had to finish work before basically being able to. Awesome. So I promise you guys to show you the yarn spindle here, and you can really see here there are spaces, especially like here, that it's getting more. So next time, my friends, we definitely have a color change on Wednesday. This is the top of it, and we are about weight-wise, I think roughly halfway through. And that's why I say, you know, like we only have a few more rows, like 5 more rows, 6 more rows to finish the third repeat. And I think we can probably do a fourth or close to. I'm gonna try. See how far we get and see how good we'll become. What we are gonna do is we are gonna pop over to this one. Then I'll pop you up to my hopefully pretty face. It looks a little bit dark. So we will default. See, that was better. And let's see. That will be the front side. Ta-da! This is where we are at, which will look so much better once it's blocked. That is a fact. It's already like stretchy, like without having been blocked yet. You can see it's stretchy, so it will definitely grow once blocked. And I will basically just continue for as far as I can with it still being neat. That's the goal of things. Beautiful as always. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so very much. Meanwhile, it is 5 p.m., which means for me, unfortunately, it is going to be an end of the stream because I have to start cooking dinner. But I will be back on Wednesday, same place, same time, around 8 a.m. Eastern. So that's 2 p.m. Central European time, which will be like 9-ish or so. No, later. 11 p.m. if you're in Sydney. So late, but if you're out, cool, come in. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Thank you if you have rewatched this live and you have gotten so far. Thank you so very much for your support. Take care and happy crafting until I see you again next time. Bye.